E aí, pessoal, tudo bem? No canal Baixos e Baixarias, é com muito prazer que eu trago para vocês hoje uma entrevista que eu estava muito querendo fazer, que é com o grande Janek Gwizdala. Pô, se você é baixista, tá na internet há um tempo e não conhece ainda o Janek, pô, o material dele é fantástico. Ele já tem muito tempo de YouTube, é, trocentos livros, né, material instrucional, né, material educativo em contrabaixo, infelizmente todos na língua inglesa, né? O canal dele, obviamente, é em inglês, porque ele é inglês, mora nos Estados Unidos já há algum tempo. Inclusive, ele é casado com uma cubana, e vocês vão ver na entrevista, ele vai falar sobre isso. E, e há muito tempo, quem me chamou a atenção para o Yanek foi o Alex Costa, nosso administrador do Fórum Contrabaixo BR. Tá? E eu comecei a ver o material dele, e é um material muito bom, altíssima qualidade. Ele começou com violão clássico, foi para o contrabaixo, se apaixonou pelo instrumento quando ele assistiu um show de jazz em Londres e começou a ir todos os shows daquele cara e falou assim, eu quero fazer isso da minha vida, né? Então ele é um cara um pouquinho diferente da maioria de nós, que começa no rock, ou no pop, e o baixo ele é um instrumento de entrada fácil, porque, cara, se você pegar dependendo da música, você pega uma nota e fica ali tocando dum, com o mínimo de ritmo, tu já consegue começar a brincar. Então ele é um nível de exigência inicial para o contrabaixo não é muito alto, então, só que o cara já quis começar no jazz, né? Então, essa piração toda dele, ele hoje é um cara com uma carreira, né, sólida, né, não só como artista solo, mas também como baixista, músico de estúdio, né, se vocês entrarem no Spotify dele, tem vários álbuns lá que você vai achar. Ele tem um trabalho fantástico com o baterista Jojo Mayer, né, procurem também esse batera, Jojo Mayer, né, todo baixista tem que pirar nos bateras, né, então esse Jojo Mayer tem um material fantástico, inclusive ele tem um TED Talk. Eu recomendo vocês também assistirem o TED Talk do Jojo Mayer. Enfim, cara, foi um papo muito legal. Ele foi muito acessível, muita gente boa. A gente falou muito mais de carreira, de filosofia, de vida, do que todo um outro lado que se tu assistir o canal dele vai ver sobre material, equipamento, baixo, né, e etc. E ficou ali o desejo, né, e a proposta de fazer um outro vídeo para ser mais de gear, né, de equipamentos, essas coisas. Então, pô, muito legal, assim, ter esse canal tá me possibilitando bater papo com gente que eu adoraria conversar, e eu tô conseguindo conversar, já são várias entrevistas aí, nacionais, internacionais, com pessoas, pô, fora de série, e, e é legal poder dividir com vocês, lembrando que esses vídeos todos eu boto legenda, eu faço uma legenda automática, a minha vida não me permite fazer eu a legenda digitar, eu não tenho esse tempo disponível, mas assim, eu tenho disponível de fazer o vídeo, né, fazer a geração automática de legendas, colocar aí traduzidas para vocês captarem da melhor forma possível, beleza? A entrevista é longa, né, porque é um papo, né, então fiquem à vontade para assistir em pedacinhos e dividir com os amigos, porque tem muitas lições ao longo dessa entrevista e das outras também, e outras que já estão gravadas, eu só tenho que editar essa desgraça aqui. Tem mais duas, o Warren Hughes, um baita produtor em inglês também, baseado em Los Angeles, né, que, pô, vocês têm que procurar o site do cara, Produce Like a Pro, um canal excelente. E entrevistei também o Ian Martin Allison, que é um dos carecas do SBL, né, do Scott Bass Lessons, que está gerando, né, que tem também um conteúdo muito legal, certo? Então, sem mais delongas, não se esqueçam de se inscrever, dar um joinha, compartilhar esse vídeo com os amigos e já falei, nossa, 4 minutos e meio. Bora para a entrevista. So, first of all, thank you so much. Thanks so much for having some time to for this chat, this kind of
interview, something like that, you know.
Yeah.
And
Totally.
let me introduce myself. I like to introduce myself because it's a some Brazilian crazy guy writes to you and asks you for a talk, you know. Last week, Harry Nordstrand had a chat with me. It was really
Ah,
great.
cool.
Yeah, it's been a great journey because I have already talked to Carrie Nordstrand, to Jens Hita.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Most
and
expensive base on earth.
yeah, and yeah, indeed. I had a chance to make a review or to record a review of one of his bases, and I will try to get in touch with him. And he answered me right away. It was
Cool.
great. And my name is Ivan or Ivan. You may
Iwan.
choose.
Iwan.
Yeah,
No
yeah.
problem.
Thank you. And
I don't speak Portuguese, but I speak Spanish, and I really am crazy about white people, gringos, with the pronunciation. Especially like in Spanish, it's like Jesus and Cesar. It's
yeah,
like Jesus and Caesar. Come on, man. You know. So
my
Ivan,
family
Ivan.
name is Bustamante. Bustamante is very
Come on.
Spanish.
Sí, sí,
Yeah.
claro.
And you know, I'm one of the founders of the Brazilian Base Forum,
Hmm.
and we have about something like 13, 14 years, about 30K members. You know,
Nice.
it's only Portuguese speaking people, and there's a bunch of guys like me who have other professions. I'm a professor at the university, and but I love the bass. In fact, I'm at work now.
Yeah,
Normally
nice.
I record from home with my basses in the back, but now I have to make a stop here my my job here. And during the pandemics, I also started a YouTube channel about bass and gear reviews and in
Sure.
Portuguese, because since I can speak English, a bit of Spanish, a bit of German and other stuff, I started to try to gather information and put this in Portuguese for Brazilian, or especially
Sure.
Brazilian bass players. And as you know, here in Brazil, people don't have too much access to a theory in English. It's hard. The
Yeah,
language barrier is hard.
sure.
So in the forum, in my channel, I try to help, and making reviews about gear, and I decided to start those interviews, which will be great to bring interesting people, fantastic people, uh, bass players and people related to bass some way, and present to the Brazilian audience. So your name was in the top list, since the beginning, because people in the forum love your work. They
It's
they
crazy. I definitely am aware of a great audience in Brazil for me and for my music. And but like you said, the language barrier has always been maybe the most difficult thing to make that connection. Even though I've played in Brazil many, many times, it's a little bit because I played in Brazil as a sideman. I've been there with Mike
Yes,
Stern a lot and with other people. So it's a little tougher to make the connection as an artist now,
it is.
you know. So I'm working on it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, if you can manage in Spanish, then the Portuguese,
It's
it's
close.
the next step.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
So and it's amazing because the feedback about those interviews are really great, because people, well, I never knew about this guy, or I always wanted to know more about, and that's why, your name, because people love your work. They love your, since you're doing your vlogs, and your more technical stuff, and uh, lessons and practice guides.
Sure.
It's an amazing material you have put on. So thank you for that, because
My
it's free
pleasure.
stuff, and so sometimes
I'm
we
sitting
do this
here
kind of,
in this
yeah.
room doing it all the time.
Yeah. And the first question, yeah, you're why you left the classic guitar? Because I understand that you started from classical guitar, isn't
Yeah,
that right?
yeah.
What made you go to the dark side of the band?
I would love to give the one word answer that my hero Hiram Bullock always gave. You know, the guitar player Hiram Bullock.
Yep.
So I was fortunate enough to work with him a lot, and if ever we would do a clinic or a master class, somebody would, put the hey, why do you play the guitar? And he would just say, girls. That was it. Like I'd love to be able to give
Wow.
that answer, but I always think about that when I get asked this question. I wish I could get that answer, but no, the classical guitar was. Um, the switch came two reasons, I think. At the time, I didn't know one of the reasons. One of the reasons was because there's no work for a classical guitar player, you know,
Yeah.
compared to bass. Okay,
Yeah,
let's
if you
just
go to
compare to
Prague
bass.
or Vienna in the summer and play on the streets and churches.
Maybe you make a couple of €100 on the
Yeah.
street busking. But compared to the bass, yeah, it's not the easiest. Not that I was looking for something easy, but it's a very, very hard. I think anything in the classical music world is very hard as a career choice because there's an incredible amount of competition and there's an incredibly high standard still. Not that there aren't great jazz musicians, but I think the entry level is way lower. To call yourself a musician as a bass player in the pop or jazz or rock world, you have to have almost no skill. Like objectively, you can have very little skill.
You can
There's no
start with
real.
a pick.
You can play with a pick. I mean, not that playing with a pick is bad, but
No,
you know, it's really. I hate to use the word easier because I don't want to say, hey, these people they didn't work hard. You know what I mean? But when you compare, just objectively speaking, classical like this, the amount of hoops you have to jump through, the amount of levels, the amount of politics, the bureaucracy is very high. Even in my limited experience of that world, from what my friends tell me, from what I talk to other professionals, I hear to play in an orchestra, it's all political. Plus, you have to be one of the best in the world if you want to have a good gig. So there is that comparison. And then, of course, I went to one concert and I saw one bass player and I just looked up at the stage and I said, that is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And that was it. I was 15 years old. It was in a pub in London, in a bar on Sunday lunchtime. And I saw this bass player, Lawrence Cottle, great jazz studio bass player in London. And I said, that is what I want to do for the rest of my life, no question. And that was Sunday. On Monday, the next day, I got a bass. And on Tuesday, I called him on the phone. And he had given me his number. I don't know where this kindness came from, but he was one of the kindest people I ever met in that regard. And he gave me his number and I called him and he said, well, let me take you to some more gigs. Come and experience some concerts, you know? So for 2 years, he took me to almost every show that he played. And he never gave me a lesson. He never said, oh, 251 or this is the chord or this. Never. I begged him for information and he said, no, you use your ear or nothing, you know? So he
what
was
a great lesson.
the best lesson I ever got in my life, basically. And it's because it happened literally from the second day, technically the second day, but from the very beginning of my life as a bass player, I was told, use your ear. And basically, music education now is not that way at all. It's almost the opposite. Okay, so when I produce material, like you were saying, the instructional material or the lessons, and I always say, use your ear. Like that's always right at the beginning of my like mandate is like use your ear. That's the most important thing. People don't accept that as much because I write a book, for instance, and there's tons of notes in it. It's so easy for them to just go get these notes and blah 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 blah. But what people don't understand is that I listen to 2,000 albums and I transcribe 500 solos, and that's where that information comes from. And right in the beginning of the book, I say on the first page of almost every book, use your ear and do the work first. The book is a guide, is a framework, and there's some nice information in there, but the most important thing is the ear. And that's something I was very, very lucky to get from the absolute beginning. And it helped me become who I am as a musician. You know, it's really important.
So, especially if you transit through different genres,
Yeah.
you know, it's not only developing good timing and learn how to play difficult time signatures and
Right.
make transpose music like this.
Yeah.
You know, it's a lot of ear training.
And
You
the
know?
other stuff will come. A lot of people, they think theory first and ear training second, or third, or fourth, or maybe never. But they always are so crazy about asking the question, so which scale goes with which chord?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. If you didn't hear somebody do this, that you went, and you made a connection with that, it doesn't matter which chord goes with which scale, because you will never you will never give an honest performance if it didn't come from the ear first.
Yeah.
You know? And
And
I
that's
think,
the really opposite from classical training.
yeah, it depends. I mean, unless you're using the Suzuki method, I think that's one like exception where you learn everything by ear actually. But yes, traditionally, in the conservatoire level, in the you know, from the beginning to the professional, yes, you're reading music. I mean, I think you have to listen at some point, because you have to know the difference between Itzhak Perlman and Maxim Vengerov playing the Sibelius violin concerto and different expression and all of that. But I don't think when you're 4 years old, everyone's saying, oh, just listen. They're saying, no, practice the scales and practice the arpeggios and practice the repertoire, you know. And the ear gives you a reactive skill, a second nature, you know, that is impossible to fake. Like I can tell, like a musician in one bar, just play one bar for me, and I can tell if you have an ear and you play from here, or if you play from here and from here. You know, it's so easy to tell. You know, because if you play from the book and you play from your eyes, that's where you're attached. And if you play from the heart and from the ear, you just the way you look around, just the way you're not concerned with looking at the instrument, the way you can close your eyes and play anything you want. It's a big indicator, you know.
You know, you mentioned this. I remember some years. I am totally amateur. You know, I never had a proper musical training, and but I've been playing since you're from 78, isn't that right?
Yeah.
I'm from 79, so we're almost there. But I'm playing bass since I was 15 years old, and then I decided to go to become a veterinarian, and my life went totally. But I always kept music close to me, and it was for me, it was natural to listen and try to interpret to play basic years, because I never studied how to read sheet music.
Right.
I miss that a lot now. But you know, choices in the life, and I always felt so good, so you know, so light playing, you know, comfortable, you know, because I have some proficiency playing and kind of improvising in rock and pop, okay. But then I wanted to start to learn jazz, to get more, you know, bebop and scales, and
Yeah.
then it was very hard for me to go, you know, to start more, you know, academic, you know, more methodical. It was hard for me, you know.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a natural way of playing, you know. I have to almost disconnect this instinctive self
Right.
to start to, you know, especially the swing jazz, because in, you know, in samba, Brazilian samba, you know, and the jazz swing is the opposite, you know, you know, and then I decided I'll stop reading the shit. Let's hear like 12
Right.
hours straight of jazz, and then
Yeah, exactly.
no,
it's like for me learning Spanish. You know, my wife is half Cuban,
Yeah.
and y solo hablo español con mi hija en la casa. That's it. I only speak Spanish with my daughter every day. But I'm English. Inglaterra, Londres, like I'm so super gringo, right? Like
Yeah.
super gringo. But I'm listening to podcasts in Spanish. You know, I'm watching YouTube videos with the Spanish language on. It's the only way I get any kind of accent, reactive skill, repetition, and it's the same with music. I don't think people give music, specifically jazz and improvisation, they don't give it the same credit as they do a foreign language, and they should, because the only way to learn a foreign language is to go there in the country. Like if I wanted to speak Portuguese, especially with a Brazilian accent, I'm gonna move to Curitiba or Sao Paulo or Manaus if I'm really crazy, and be in the middle of it. That's the only way, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't think people really give it enough credit for that.
I remember once I had to go to I had a collaboration with some researchers in Durham in at the university there.
Oh, that's an accent.
Yeah, and then I had a meeting with the heads of internationalization office there, and then I spent like two weeks watching Harry Potter movies and watch British, posh,
Yeah.
posh, but to get there with
Yeah.
more fluent, because I have never been to United States until today. I never been to US, and
Yeah.
I went to England twice, and I stayed there for five days.
Okay.
I speak English because my mom she's an English teacher, and she was very, I had to learn.
Yeah.
Thanks for her. And now I'm helping other people because I know English.
Sure.
That's a nice thing. And even for language, to have, to get used to the accent. I was watching movies like crazy, so it
Yeah.
makes totally sense. I guess Victor Wooten say things like this, like music as a
Yeah.
language, and
100%. Me and Victor have, I think, very similar ideas about that. And for me, my mother is a linguist and speaks several languages and understands, like the structure of language and how important the process is. My best friend is from Chile but grew up in England, and he's a PhD from Oxford in linguistics, specifically Spanish dialects. So he speaks like 27 different Spanish dialects. It's
holy crazy.
He can sound like he's Dominican or from Colombia. I mean, it's totally insane. And you know how different those two are. It's like opposite ends
Yeah,
of the
I can believe it.
Yeah,
Here,
so
if you go to Chile, to Uruguay, and Argentina, sometimes you get a little bit
Yeah.
what's going on.
actually, that's those three countries. I'm going there in August. Exactly
Really?
those three countries. Yeah, I'm
Really?
gonna play in Santiago, Buenos Aires, and Montevideo.
Oh, you don't tell me that.
Yeah.
Are you going to play with
My trio with my music, with my band.
Really in Montevideo? Because I'm 12 hours from Montevideo by car.
Ah, wow.
I will take the car and drive to meet you there.
I mean, I would love to go to Brazil as well, but again, like Brazil is a tough one. If there was, where are you? Are you in Sao Paulo or
I am close to Porto Alegre right now.
Porto Alegre? Okay, cool.
The very south. It's the last capital. Yeah.
South of
I
Curitiba,
was
right?
born in Rio, but I'm living here in Rio Grande do Sul state. It's the border with Uruguay and Argentina.
Yeah,
I've
I
been
know
here for 20 something years,
Cool.
and it's calmer, less crazy than Rio.
But definitely, like you said, like between Chile and Argentina, Argentina is like Spanish with an Italian accent. Like it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is. And then you started play when you made the shift for a more professional way in as a bass player, because probably you started as an playing bands with friends, and then or you're already aiming to a kind of session musician,
Really
or
from the first day. It was pretty crazy. It was like just switch like this, and from that first day seeing Lawrence, I was like, oh no, I need to take this really seriously, and just like put everything else to the side. including classical guitar, including drums and trumpet and other instruments I was playing. And really, I think I got in my first band. I had my first gig, I think, 3 weeks later after that. I remember it very, very well in London. And then I got in my first real band maybe a month or 2 months after that. I went to a couple of jam sessions very early. Met
Playing
some
rock
people.
and roll or
Oh,
pop or
jazz
jazz
immediately.
already?
That-
Jazz immediately.
Immediately. That's what I was into. Like, I didn't come to rock and pop and that stuff for like a couple of years
Yeah.
after I started playing. So I was pretty crazy about it. And I wonder if I have it here. Oh, yeah. So I would go to every gig with the little tape machine.
Yeah.
I would record everything and then come home and like listen and transcribe like everything that night. So I would go, in England, the gig always finished around 11. So I was home by 11:30 and then stay up until 2 or 3 in the morning, listening and playing and learning
Yeah.
like that from the beginning. So I was transcribing using my ear literally from the first day, which
You
was
were, and your first 10,000 hours was doing this.
my first
Yeah.
10,000 hours happened in the first like 18 months or 2 years. I mean, it was crazy. Already from the classical guitar, I knew how to practice. The classical guitar gave me an amazing foundation. I had an incredible teacher who taught me really about technique that transferred to the bass really well. It was a very easy
This is something
transition.
we can see in your,
Right. Even now,
typing.
the posture with the bass on the left leg,
Yes.
using the footstool,
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so that transferred very easily, and I was already practicing 8 hours, 9 hours every day classical music like that. So I already spent like 5 years doing that all the time. So I already had the process of work and the willpower and the mindset to do that. So I just switched the instrument, and immediately, boom. I didn't start from zero. Let's say that I already had some technique. I had to learn now bass clef. I was already very good at reading from the classical side of things. So then I had to like learn to read in the new clef, which was useful. Not essential, but it was useful. And because I could read so well, I was able to get gigs. I couldn't improvise very well in the beginning because I didn't really know anything. I didn't have the experience, but I could read and I could play. So I had basic technique and very good reading. So there were a bunch of gigs that I could do almost immediately that normally you have to wait some years to do.
Yes.
But people, they started to learn like, oh, he reads anything. He can put any music in front of me, pop, 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 done.
You're a reliable professional.
Yeah, yeah. And
Dave Swift said the same thing to me. He was my first interview. Dave Swift. Can you
cool.
believe this?
That's fun.
He's a fantastic, and he came from trombone.
Yeah, right.
He was a trombone player.
Yeah.
And he said the same thing, because he reads, he got session jobs really easy.
And that's the same as my mentor, Lawrence Cottle. He came from trombone. And he reads very well. And he's like, at that time, especially, was like in the 90s, was like the height, almost the end of the studio scene in London. So when I met Lawrence Cottle, he was doing Seal and Eric Clapton, like huge recording sessions and playing jazz gigs all the time. So I kind of got to see two worlds which kind of don't really exist anymore, because the studio scene, I think, in every major city is, maybe 1/10 what it was 25 years ago.
Why is that? Because of the
Technology.
Just
Technology and budget, and everything is streaming now, and music is essentially free when it comes out, and people are not investing time because you don't need to. Essentially, you don't need to spend 3 months making a record. You can do it in, you can have 5 different composers each write 2 songs. That's an album. They each make a demo. Demo sounds almost like the finished product, and you spend a week doing some chaka 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 guitar and the bass part and a little cymbal here and some vocals, and the album is finished. It's not like you go to the power station in New York for 3 months, locked out, catering every day, big produce. That doesn't work anymore. So like anyone with a laptop can basically make an album, and they do.
They do, but is something that will last, or will be remembered, or will just be numbers on Spotify or YouTube?
I don't know. I think there are some people who use the technology to really innovate and make amazing music. And I listen to their music and I think, whoa, there's something that really touches me and it stays with me. And then there are a lot of people who use it as a shortcut because they don't have any of the skills to know which microphone to use, how to use a preamp, compression, outboard gear, a tape machine. They don't know any of that stuff because they just don't come from that analog era, you know, and they use it as a shortcut because it would take so long to get a good sound from all of that vintage gear, and they can go doot doot, and it's a plug-in in Pro Tools or Logic, and suddenly you have a LA2A compressor, and you have a preset that says like Rick Rubin or Butch Vig or some major producer, Daniel Lanois preset for, you know, whatever, and suddenly you've got the same compression settings from U2, Achtung Baby, in your laptop, kind of for free.
Yeah.
Something that would have cost you a fortune 30 years ago, you know? So when you look at the two ends of the spectrum, where it was and where it is now, it's like, it's easy, it's cheap, it's accessible. And I think that is both good and bad. If you use it to innovate, I think it's amazing. But if you use it to cut corners and, you know, don't really know what you're doing, I think that could be a little more of a decline in the artistry of recording.
Yes. Artistry. That's what
Which is sad. But I think that's not exclusive to music. It's not exclusive to recording, and maybe not exclusive to music either. You know, you think about GPT right now. It's like
everybody's
big
talking
craze.
about it.
Everyone's talking about it for a reason. I mean, it is going to change so many industries, and especially the YouTube space that I'm really concentrating on right now. I got rid of all social media, so Facebook and Twitter and TikTok and Instagram is gone for me forever now. It's finished.
You close your accounts, or
Everything deleted.
deleted?
Gone, finished. No more. Never again.
But you think it's a problem with the platforms, or people behave differently in each of these platforms?
I think both. I think the platforms encourage people to behave in a certain way.
Yeah.
And they're not encouraging creativity or artistic innovation or long form content. You know, they're encouraging the attention span to be compressed into 2 seconds, 1.5 seconds, and then it's like it's on to the next thing. It's endless scrolling, side to side, up and down. They just want the next hit of dopamine, and I think that doesn't encourage. I don't think that encourages longevity or any kind of statement, like meaningful statement that's going to last. Something might blow up and get 100 million views. Like this little TikTok video, 20 seconds might get 100 million views. But do you remember it 1 week from now even? Probably not.
Yeah.
But you can go look at a Picasso and be like, holy shit, you know, or a Da Vinci, like hundreds of years have passed and it's still, you know, whatever your favorite type of art to experience is, it's still valid and it still has this longevity of these statements. If you think about Miles Davis' Kind of Blue compared to, I don't know, I don't want to name names, but you can pick any artist under the age of 30 right now, and it's questionable as to whether anyone is making a statement that big. Now, obviously, that's an extreme statement. Kind of Blue is the pinnacle. But then let's take another 50 albums that aren't as popular as Kind of Blue was, but still have this huge impact in the art form of jazz, and they still are way up here when the new artists now are not even on the scale as far as I'm concerned. For the most part, there are exceptions, I think, but the general sense I get is that nobody really cares about making impactful statements. They care about attention. And attention seems to be valued far more than art. So it's a very short-term and transient existence.
Yeah, because the whole system Now it's based on making money on attention.
Ad revenue. It's an ad revenue business model. So,
That's
you know,
it.
the ad revenue business model is something I don't have a problem with, like in YouTube, for instance, because it's actually encouraging you to do longer stuff. It's encouraging you to be more creative for a longer period of time. And if you're only in it for the money, I think if you're only in it for the money, you're in it for the wrong reasons, first of all. But there is an opportunity to actually have some kind of career with YouTube and still have integrity, you know, and not have to make something that's 3 seconds long because somebody's just going to go, I don't, I don't have time for that. So I think that's why I appreciate the platform a little more than any of those other ones. And we'll see. My goal with YouTube is to grow the audience so I can go and tour. I'm not doing this for ad revenue or for an income. It's to grow a community and grow an audience to where I can go around the world. And if I have 1 million subscribers on YouTube, I know that I can sell 400 or 500 tickets in a concert in Budapest or London or Montevideo or somewhere, you know? That's why I'm doing it.
Sure. I can see there is I can see where the musician, the artist merges with the educator, you know?
Okay.
You know, because it's, you know, you have this whole collection of educational material and as a teacher myself, you know, here with my students at the university, I just don't want to be the one who is throwing knowledge, you know.
Right.
You know, there must be some kind of long-term transformation, you know, in the
Sure.
individual as a professional, as a human being, you know, and you now as a father, you know, it's something that changes the way we think, you know. Why is that? You know, why it's so shallow, you know? Here in Brazil, we are having huge problem with music, you know, in the last 15, 20 years. For sure, you know, it's became so shitty, you know. You know, the
Yeah.
quality. You have some niches, but
Right.
you turn on the radio, the lyrics are horrendous.
Yeah, I've seen some of these. Like one of my very good friends is a Brazilian guitar player here in the US, Gabriel Santiago,
Yeah,
and he showed me some of that stuff, and it's like it's shocking, like how
sure.
bad it is. Which to me is crazy because my first real gig, was Brazilian music. My first real big time gig was with Ayrton Moreira and Flora Purim.
Oh, come on.
That was like my first experience of like a big stage and a big situation was those two people plus the whole band, Luis Avelar, Elio Alves, Vitor Santiago, Cisel Machado, like, you know, like I
Heavy
used
stuff.
I used to date the stepdaughter of Nico Sansel.
Really?
Berkeley, like I've been connected to the Brazilian scene and the Brazilian bass scene, like from the very beginning, you know. So for me, I experienced this unbelievably rich tradition of samba and batucada and afuxé and baião and all these things, and then I look at the pop music today and go, whoa, you know.
And now you can understand how frustrated we are
Yeah.
as musicians to see this.
I mean, but then you look in America, you look at like you had back in the day Frank Sinatra and Billie Holiday and Sarah Vaughan and Ella Fitzgerald, and then you had like Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles. You had all these unbelievable artists, and now you have like Lil Changy and Tekashi 6ix9ine and like all these morons who can't make one sentence that makes any sense from the beginning to the end. And like you said, you have niches. You even have people in the US, I think, in hip hop and R&B and modern music who are incredibly innovative. I think Anderson .Paak is very underrated. First of all, he's an amazing drummer, and he's a rapper and a singer and a writer and a producer. But he's not anywhere close, as big as he is, he's not anywhere close to the biggest of the big. It's like, if you're going to be creative, we're going to keep you down here. You know, we're not going to give you that like Jay-Z, Justin Timberlake level. We're going to keep you just down here. You're a little too creative for us. That's what it feels like. You know, you're not commercial enough. So it's interesting. And I think at the end of the day, you have to just stay with your niche and stay with what you believe in, and try not to let the influence of anything else affect your decision making. That's why I got rid of social media. No more distractions about commercial bullshit. It's just what I want to listen to, I choose to search for.
Perfect.
And if on that journey I hear some other things here and there and influence is great, but I really want to be the director of my own destiny, you know?
You're talking about creativity. So, for example, I was listening your last album, and One Way Out, and for example, it starts with network effects. There's a lot of creativity working on there. You know, I was always waiting for the buzz of the old school internet connection.
Yeah, I mean, I I I think with that album, and especially the way the album opens, the whole concept was to have no barriers, like no boundaries, a very, very basic framework, and the framework was just trust and kind of honesty. So I trust the guys in my band, and I trust them. I trust us all to be honest with each other about the music and about what we play. And I give everyone like complete freedom. Like there are zero mistakes. You cannot possibly make a mistake on this recording session. I will never say you did that wrong, ever. So that's great. And when you tell a great musician, like those two guys in my band, when you tell them that, like they get this like this like, holy shit, really? In serio? No. So yeah, that's the greatest feeling. And
it's totally the opposite. Not the opposite, but normal. Depends on the producer, but the session work sometimes comes everything written down, and you have to follow. There are some.
yeah, there are so many. I mean, there are so many different sessions, right? Some things are like you play everything identical, like they come with the music, and that's it. And sometimes it's like you do a session for a movie, and you have a creative director and producer, and they're like, I don't know. What do you hear in this moment where somebody is like getting their head cut off or something, or somebody's running, or like some scene in a movie, and maybe you get the chance to improvise a little bit. So there's a big spectrum of how that works. You know, my wife is also a bass player, a great bass player, plays upright and electric, and I know she's going to the studio today to do a big session for Disney. And you know, it's two different things. One is upright and one is electric, two songs, I think. And I know just from talking to her, because she's also the arranger on this and the producer, which is kind of crazy, and a big ensemble with one is like with traditional Irish instruments and she's playing upright, and the other is like totally like pop, like straight up the middle pop, like I don't know, like Charlie Puth or something, like modern pop. And I know the pop thing is like she's kind of has a part. It's written like, you know, she worked on it, and you know, it's part of the arrangement. And the other one is more like it will be a little bit improvised. You know, it won't be reading notes. It'll be reading chord symbols. So even on the same session, she's doing something today, which is two things that are very different on literally the same recording session. So I love the studio. I have to say, it's something that I never aspired to. Like I never wanted to be Nathan East or Lee Sklar or Will Lee or something like that. Like I didn't want to spend my whole life in the studio. But when I'm in the studio, it's something I love as much as playing live. And my whole life is playing live. So it's something I love very, very much. And it's such a different challenge, you know? It's more a challenge of dealing with people most of the time than it is music. You know, I think the music business in general is 5% music and 95% dealing with people. But in the studio, this is like magnified even more. You're under the microscope, and the red light is on, and this is going on recording for all eternity. You know, so it's good to manage everyone. Like if you have 5 people in the room, and then a producer, and an engineer, and an assistant, and a runner, and blah. Man, that's a lot of work. You know.
That there must be a very interesting thing to be someone like Lee Sklar and Nathan East, and everywhere you go, you can hear it playing all the time.
Yeah, I mean,
I think both of them is something like 78% of the American modern music, you know.
yeah. And you add like Anthony Jackson and Will Lee and Marcus Miller,
It's over.
it's over, man. And we haven't
98.
even talked about Neil Steubenhaus and Chris Chaney and and Sean and all these guys. It's like, man, that's yeah, Sean Hurley, like these younger guys, younger, and they're
Yeah,
50. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Or something like that. I don't want to get their age wrong, but I know they're a little bit older than me, and I'm 44. And those are considered like the younger guys because Lee and Nathan and Neil Steubenhaus are like the main guys, you know, for so many years. And even like people don't realize that John Patitucci played on so many records in the 80s in LA, in Los Angeles, that weren't jazz. You know, even he was like a real studio guy playing on
Yeah.
non-jazz records, hundreds of them. It's crazy, you know?
I really like Spotify when I find some of those playlists.
Oh yeah,
Or Jeff Porcaro playlist, and then there's
yeah,
3,000 songs. You know,
yeah,
I have no
exactly.
idea who did it, but
Yep,
to go, to dig this,
yeah,
it's incredible work, and I think that that's one of the good things now of the technology. You can,
yeah.
because this is a problem here in Brazil, especially for professional musicians to get paid properly for their work.
Oh yeah,
Because you're paid by the session, and then what about the phonogram being reproduced,
yep.
for 10, 12, 20 years?
Hmm.
There's this huge discussion if the session musicians, the guys who recorded these songs, they should be paid for,
Yeah,
you know,
they
and
are here.
yeah, but
Yeah,
here
they
it's
have it called
still,
special payments with the union, and you get a
yeah.
check. Yeah, it gets less and less over the years, but still, if you play on some big records, like if you play on Michael Jackson's Thriller,
Oh,
whoo,
oh my,
you know,
yeah. I
and you think
believe
of some of
Steve
the records.
Lukather still gets money from this today. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I'm not sure if that was in existence in the 70s or whenever Thriller was made. Was Thriller 70s or early 80s? I don't know if they had special payments then. I don't know enough about that scene. I would have to ask Nathan or someone. But I know Nathan played on Michael Jackson records and just everyone, the biggest of the biggest records. You can look on Wikipedia, the biggest records of all time, and you're going to find, Nathan East and Lee Sklar and Will Lee on a lot of those albums. And it's like Anthony Jackson on some of the biggest. I think Anthony Jackson's first. I hope I'm right with this. Mrs. Jones, doom doom doom. I
Yeah.
think that's Anthony Jackson, and I think that was his first gold record. And if I'm not wrong, he was 18 or 19 years old when he played on that.
Come on.
And you're talking about the domes. Ding ding.
Is Quincy Jones producing?
Anthony Jackson is on Money 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 by the OJs.
Yeah.
It's one of the most recognizable, thanks to the stupid Donald Trump Apprentice TV show when it got rebooted. It's one of the most, yeah, exactly. But it's one of the most recognizable OJ songs of all time, and that's Anthony, who actually wrote that bass line. Not only was he a musician on it, but he wrote that bass line. It's
Incredible.
insane. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Now, to me, that's one of the big things that's missing from education. Like if Berkeley would like if you went to Berkeley College of Music or USC or somewhere and you were required to learn about the history of the music, I think this would be a great thing to really understand what happened before you and who did what and the importance of each musician in the scene and how there was a community in every genre. I think that's something that really gets missed now and would add some depth to what is going on musically if people knew about that.
I don't know in the US and the UK right now. And here in Brazil, the I think we only now have Bass Player magazine. We have a Brazilian Bass Player magazine, but it's
Yeah.
like this, you know. It because today, if I want to go out and buy some magazine or newspaper, it's hard because we used to have what we newspaper in Portuguese is jornal.
Uh-huh.
We call banca de jornal. It's
Right.
where we buy
I know exactly.
magazines, this kind of
Yeah.
stuff, and
Yeah.
they disappeared. Only perhaps big cities like Rio, São Paulo, Curitiba will have, but in smaller towns, smaller cities, it's very hard to find. So it's but in the late 90s and in the first and 2010, we we still have some two bass players, two magazines for bass players and guitar players and drummers
Yeah.
and music in general. And this material was so important for me to learn about those great session musicians, you know, great recordings, because there was very smart people, you know, uh, searching and what is what is the good stuff, what is not so good, what is spectacular, and ask and interviewing people and putting this together and delivering to us. It was very important for me, to get, because now we have internet, but it's so spread. There is no filter. There
Yeah.
is
And
no.
it takes
It's not
time
curated.
to read a
Curated.
magazine.
Is
Yeah,
this the word, curated?
that's absolutely, yeah,
Not only
curated.
for cheese. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what the magazine was. It was a
Yeah, and
curated set of information, the best of the best, right?
and that's what I'm doing with my channel.
Right.
When I interview you and Dave Swift,
Yeah.
and I show the clips of him playing with almost everybody in
Everyone.
30 years, playing with
Everyone,
Jools
yeah.
Holland, and the Late with Jools Holland show goes here it's streamed here in Brazil in
Oh, cool.
cable TV.
Nice.
So many people, wow, I never knew about this gig. Oh,
Yeah.
it was, it's a, it's nice. It's I'm talking good things about him, but I feel happy to, you know, to to be in the position to help younger bass players
Yeah,
or
for sure.
just bass lovers to, listen to Yannick's material with Jojo Mayer. It's amazing. Look, the crazy drummer. Can you imagine how difficult it is to play with a drummer like this? At this level, man, it's crazy.
Well, I gotta say, he's probably the easiest drummer to play with.
Come on.
Yeah, without a doubt. The higher the level, the easier it is. You know, when I think about the great drummers I played with in my career, the better they are, the easier it was, and the more fun I had. You know, a bad drummer is so difficult to play with.
Yeah.
If the time is not there, like the concept, the communication, you're like, it's really like, oh, you're really exhausted after the gig. And I play with Aieto a lot, and I would be exhausted after the gig, but that's because he has more energy than everyone else in the band, and he's like pushing, pushing, pushing.
Yeah.
So, and then one of my favorite guys is not as well known Brazilian guy, Celso Alberti, who played a lot with Aieto and with this guy Jose Neto. This Brazilian guitar player, lives in California. He's the guitar player now with Stevie Winwood for the last 25 years.
Yeah.
Plays this white Paradise guitar, always with the headscarf. He's from Sao Paulo, I think. But that also was one of my really early gigs. And so Celso Alberti was the drummer, but the keyboard player in that band is a guy called Frank Martin, another one of my favorite musicians, who is the right-hand man of Narada Michael Walden. So from the beginning, I'm having the experience of being around these people who lived in the studio for 30 years, and I'm playing like just eyes open, ears open, mouth shut, and just like, whoa,
Just
like let me get
absorbing. Yeah.
all the information I can and just like sit in the van and listen to the stories and, ask questions sometimes, when I don't understand something. But yeah, I'm very fortunate to be around people like that. And like I said, the better the musician, the easier it is. Now, you have musicians who are very capable that compose incredibly difficult music. Okay, so that's a little more challenging, you know? Um, I play with a drummer called Benny Greb, for instance.
Come on.
Yeah, German guy.
Jesus.
So I mean, it's so there's so many levels there to what he does, layers rather, and we can improvise and play totally loose, and it's super easy. But then it is a challenge to play some of his music because some of it's pretty yeah, it's a little difficult, and but at the same time, I this goes back to being professional from a very young age. If I'm going to play a gig with Benny Greb, I know everything a month before the first we play one note. Like I practice. Everything is like completely second nature.
Internalize, you know.
Yeah, internalized. It's in the muscle memory, and even then, I have to be like on the gig, very aware and like focused. You know, so yeah. And then my band is the total opposite. I don't have to think of anything. I just have to listen and be like, okay, where are we going today? You know. And so far with this trio, we only did one album, The One Way Out, and we did one small tour in Europe. So now the plan is to go to South America to play in Chile and Argentina and Uruguay, and then spend 4 days in the studio in Buenos Aires making a new album. So that's early August. And then we go to Europe in November for a tour. And right now my big goal is to grow the YouTube channel big enough where I can do big concerts all around the world, like big, like Royal Albert Hall, like 2, 3, 4,000 people. Like do a short tour and then boom, big concert, and then take some time off. Short tour, boom, big concert. So London, Paris, Rio, Buenos Aires, Chile, like different places around the world to really present a big show, and use the YouTube channel to do that, to have the community.
And mostly focusing in your trio.
Yeah, my music and whatever that is. I like the trio. I think I'm going to keep the trio. Even if there are more musicians, I'm going to keep the trio the same, you know. I'm planning on using some other orchestration on this new album, maybe some strings and voices and whatever else, but the foundation is going to be the trio for sure.
And composition-wise, you do everything by yourself, or you
Yeah.
let your wife give you some ideas?
No, she like not that I wouldn't do that, but we've never really collaborated on composition before. We've played together, we've worked together. We had some podcast briefly together, and now she's starting to be on my podcast again, which is fun. But we've never done any composition together. Sometimes we ask each other questions when we're working on something. She'll have an arrangement. She'll ask me something. I'll be doing something. I'll ask her something. You know, like it's nice to have a co-worker in the house. You know.
Yeah.
And then with the books, like she does all of the design for the books.
Yeah, they're
Does
beautiful.
all the covers, all the copy work, all the notation and everything. So we'll definitely talk about concepts with the book together. And like she's very good because she understands like what she wants to read in a book. So I'll say an idea and she'll like, that's kind of boring. But if you did it like this, I would really want to read that. You know, so it's like having one customer
Yeah.
before the book is finished to really get ideas together. So it's a good relationship like that.
And when did you start to think about writing books? And it was something that you thought that younger musicians were needing this, or
Yeah, I mean, the first one I wrote was so long ago. This little guy.
yeah,
You're a musician. Now what? Like, what are you gonna do with that shit? So that was already 11 years ago or something, or 12 years ago. I wrote that book just because I was starting this career with the internet. So having touring and the internet together and how to balance that. So this was nothing to do with notes or technique. It was all about business process. So I wrote that book. It was pretty successful. And then I thought, oh, you know what? I like books. People responded to the books. I have a million ideas. Why don't I do like, you know, real instruction books? And so far, so good.
that's great.
I'm like almost finished with the new one right now, all about giant steps.
Oh,
and how to use Giant Steps to play literally anything: country music, rock, pop, jazz, gent, prog, you name it. Like just using Giant Steps as an exercise rather than a song. So
Interesting.
no anxiety, no pressure, no like mythological bullshit around it. It's just John Coltrane wrote as an exercise. That's how it started. Then he decided it was going to be a song and put it on the album. But yeah, so I'm writing a book, almost finished with that book now. It's really fun.
It's interesting that you back there you were 15 years old and there was a switch button,
Hmm.
turn it on, and you decided to be a pro musician, and you traced the career path, and stuck to it, and y- and, and this reminds me something that I heard about Mike Stern and how he managed his career to how he's close to when they are about to close with venues and cities and other managers
Hmm.
around the world, and how he's really close to all the negotiations is something that he doesn't delegate to other people, and he's
Yeah,
very aware of everything that's going on. So
for
and
sure.
and and that's a parallel that I'm doing with you right now, because you also you took control over your career, and don't
Well, I never had a manager ever.
you know
I never had a manager or a booking agent, and I just got a booking agent for the very first time, just for Europe. But the first time in 25 years, this is the first time I have someone actually working for me, I guess. I did everything else myself. I booked every tour, every gig, every session, everything. And I learned a lot from Mike Stern, for sure. Like just being, when I was first playing with Mike in 2004 or 5, it's almost 20 years ago. Um, I was going to his house a lot, to his apartment, just to practice.
yeah.
We would play for
Oh,
hours and hours and hours. And during that time, the phone would ring. He didn't have a cell phone. He didn't have a computer. Everything was done on a landline telephone. So
yes.
we'd be playing, "Be-da ba bo ba, hey me hey." It would be a promoter in Italy or something, and I would listen to the call and hear the negotiation, and nothing crazy, nothing I shouldn't hear, but very interesting. A really good look behind the scenes of what it takes to really be in control. So I learned a lot from Mike like that, and then being on tour with him and seeing how it works. Like you said, every city, every venue, every promoter, every booking agent, he's definitely aware of what's going on. He knows how much money he's making. He knows how long the tour is, how long we have to play every night. Everything. So
Because we
I
hear a
dug it.
lot here in Brazil that people still have aspiring musicians. They still have this kind of romantic or naive way. I just have to learn my instrument and everything will but the opportunities will come and everything will.
No,
Yeah, I
I mean,
got my veterinary degree. A cow didn't fall from the sky for me to to treat.
exactly.
I have to go find the fucking cow.
Exactly. Exactly. And yeah, I
You
mean,
get full of
there is
shit.
maybe, yeah, yeah. And there's maybe one, like every 10,000 people, there's maybe one person that it happens for, you know? There's like one Jacob Collier, and there's just like, but it's super rare. And even people like that, they worked super hard and they had something, a YouTube channel and blah, 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 blah. They didn't just sit at home and the phone rang suddenly. The phone call is something from the 80s, maybe the 90s. The phone call, like the stories you hear. Chick Corea calls Eric Marienthal, the saxophone player, to join the Chick Corea Electric Band. That was the phone call. And Eric was in Disney, in the Disney marching band, and he was in the band room, and he gets that phone call. That's the story I heard anyway. And there are but that's 30 years ago. I'll be amazed if my phone actually rings in the next month, you know, from anyone. Even my wife, she texts me or she shouts from the from upstairs.
Change the
Yeah, so the
diaper.
yeah, exactly.
Oh man, yeah, yeah.
Necesitamos pañales.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
Um,
And so,
so yeah, so that's an old construct, I think. And yeah, now you have to be a little bit more in control,
I think you
and
always
it's a good and a bad
have.
thing.
This life is so fast right now that it's so easy to derail, get out of the track,
Yeah, yeah,
because
absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
you know
yeah. And like
you
now being a
mentioned it,
dad, like
you quit TikTok, you take Twitter, you take Instagram.
yeah,
That's major platform, so that's a huge move.
yeah. But it's a good one for me. It means my focus is in one place, not five, you know? And it means I have no distractions. I have 2 more hours in my day to do other stuff that's more important,
Yeah,
you know? Even if that stuff has nothing to do with music, I get to spend time with my daughter. I
of
get to
course.
be, have groceries in the house and make sure my taxes are paid and like just basic bullshit, and that's super important. And being a father now with a young daughter, the focus of like, holy shit, I have 2 hours, and if I don't maximize those 2 hours, I'm fucked, you know. So it really gives me this extra focus to make the most of my time, which is really good. It's really healthy, and it's going to pay off. I'm very confident that the YouTube channel is going to hit the goals. We're going to get to 100,000 subscribers by April. We're going to get to 1 million at some point, and it's going to change the way I am able to tour as an artist and change the way I'm able to make music and do the thing I love the most. Like, I don't love making videos for Instagram. This is a complete waste of my time, and it doesn't bring me any joy at all. It only brings me distraction and
More
depression.
money.
No money. Imagine that. And that's the thing. See, money wasn't even on my list of things that it didn't bring. Like, money is the last thing for me. I don't do any of this for the money. If I wanted to do something for the money, I wouldn't be a fucking musician, number one.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, so yeah. And it's interesting, like the perception of the audience. A lot of people say, "Oh, you're just doing this for the money." Like it's crazy how misguided people can be in that sense. So I like to be honest. I like to constantly update people and show actual numbers and sales and expenses and like all of that. So in about 4 months, like I started my YouTube big like push in January. So in 4 months time, when I have like 6 months of data, I'm going to make a video with every single dollar in and out and minus and plus, like everything, just to show people like, hey, I'm not here buying a fucking Ferrari and a Rolex, I'm here concentrating on making music and being happy being an artist. Like that's the goal. So the more opportunity I get to say that, the better.
And building a long time audience, an international
Yes.
audience,
Yes.
and your fans,
And delivering on the promise also.
Yeah.
Like I'm here promising like this is what I'm doing, here's my process, here's everything behind the scenes, and guess what, I'm actually going to do it, and I'm actually going to come to Prague and Madrid and Paris and Copenhagen, and you're going to see me and you're going to have the opportunity to buy a ticket and come to a show and leave a concert with something you're going to remember for more than 3 seconds.
I would try to be in Montevideo.
Yeah, that
I will
would be
try.
awesome.
I will try to be there.
Let's see, we're working on it right now, like the dates, but it's the first week of August. That's our time frame.
That's great. That's great.
Yeah, I've never been to Uruguay, so that's one of the few places I've never been in South
it's
America.
so amazing. Uruguay is so amazing. It's from here is it's in 5 hours drive. I'm in the border. So you cross the border and it's another vibe. I have several Uruguayan friends. You meet them, it's another vibe.
Yeah.
Have mate,
Cool.
drink mate tea.
Yeah, right.
It's amazing. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
I love to go to Uruguay. Let's see.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yannick, I don't wanna bother you anymore with this talk.
All good.
I just have one request.
Tell me.
Let's find another moment, not now, in a few months, when you're not, on tour.
Crazy.
We talk about gear, effects, your sound, because I think this chat here was great. I don't want to, stay like 3 hours with you right now. This will be, yeah,
Lots of gear.
I know, I follow you for a long time, and
Oh man.
and I think there are so many things you can share also, because I think this chat now was just great because we had an opportunity to discuss live music, artistry. This is, this it's for me, and I think for my audience, this is most important right now than which compressor you use, or
Sure. But
but
people want to know about the compressor as well.
yeah, of course, of course, because you have such a great sound. You get different tones in your recordings, and in your videos you show how to use your presets and analogs versus digital, and your basses, why using a Mustang or a boutique bass or the fucking Fodera shit that you complained previously. And let's see if we can schedule another talk
I'm totally
someday.
down, man. Anytime.
And I think
Yeah.
the audience will love it.
Cool, man.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate you giving me the time to talk. Always nice, especially to talk to the Brazilian audience as well. That's always a good thing.
Yeah, I will put subtitles here in Portuguese, to
Beautiful.
make it easier for everyone. And that's my
Cool,
goal,
man.
I'm
Great.
not here to show off.
And
It's
and something I should say, I probably should have said at the beginning, but whatever, it's good that we say it, is that I'm working on putting Spanish and Portuguese language to all of my YouTube videos.
perfect. That's great.
So hiring a translator to really go in and make it more accessible and have that option on the YouTube so people can see what's going on. So that's something that's in the works, and that'll be on my main channel. So that should be coming in the next month or so. I'm going to try and do a few videos to test them, maybe a lesson and a gear thing, just to see what's going on and see how people respond. So yeah, definitely check that out.
So thank you so much.
Cool. All right. Thank you, man. Take it easy.
Have a nice week. Take
All
care.
right, yeah. We'll speak soon.
Bye.
Bye. Yeah.
Galera, obrigado por assistir até aqui, até o finalzinho. Espero que vocês tenham curtido bastante essa entrevista. Eu gostei. Foi muito legal conversar com o querido Janek Gwizdala. Pô, foi uma experiência muito boa, uma troca muito positiva, e quem sabe, né, eu consigo assistir o show dele ao vivo lá no Uruguai, em Montevidéu, que ele vai estar em agosto. Vamos ver se eu consigo me organizar para dar um pulinho lá. Vai, imagina aí seguir fazendo a outra parte da entrevista ao vivo. Show de bola. Beleza, galera? Muito obrigado. Não se esqueça de se inscrever, dar um joinha. E quem quiser se tornar membro por R$ 2,99 por mês, vocês dão aquele apoio maroto ao canal. Valeu? Fiquem bem e continuem com o groove na ponta dos dedos. Valeu!